Hi everybody, welcome back. Today what we'll talk about is fear. How can we deal with fear and how every single one of us has at least experienced fears once in their life. What is fears to begin with? Well, fears is being afraid of the unknown. Therefore, the easiest way to get rid of your fear is to go get the unknown known, which means go and get some information. If you're about to make a decision and you're afraid to make the wrong decision, well, whatever you're going to be deciding about, go get educated about it. Go get information. Go get studies. Go get all the information that you think is required to make the decision, and then you'll see that your fears will get less and less and less. The other thing that, or the other reason why we are experiencing fear, is that fear is often seen as or perceived as a reward. And what I mean by that is if you are afraid of jumping, but you're telling yourself that it's just because you don't want to jump or because you don't feel it's right, there's something inside that makes you feel good because you got a reward, because it's a good thing, right? You're being true to yourself. And those are the things that are dangerous to get into, is the fact that every human being needs reward. That's one of the things that we all need. We need love and we need a bunch of different things, but one of the things that we need is reward. We need to feel good. We need to feel rewarded. And in order to feel rewarded, we reward ourselves with little things that sometimes are not a reward, but it's an immediate feeling of a reward. And a lot of times with those, you forget about your goal or you procrastinate onto going into your goals. The major thing is to be able to identify those, to rectify those. See, if you don't know about it, you can't rectify it, you can't change it. But after that you're being aware of it, you can't ignore it anymore. It's really hard. And when you do, then you have the feeling of feeling guilty of not doing it. Therefore, you're going to start doing it more and more to make you feel better. Because once again, you need that reward. So basically, the fear is what it is. And fear is something that you've been taught. Nobody will ever teach you how to be fear. People will try to teach you how to be fearless. But they focus on, I am not afraid of anything. Well, guess again. Once again, being afraid of things is gathering the information or simply not caring of the result. It's one of the two. So, not caring about anything is not necessarily the best way either, depending on what you're doing. And don't take me wrong, this is gonna get some reaction from people, but it all depends on your perception and what you want to achieve in life. But if you're looking at fear as being something that stops you, then understanding the concept and why you're afraid of something, will give you the tools to realize those and to be able to work on those things on your own terms, making it happen for your life, not mine. This is not about me. It's about you. It's about sharing the tools that you need in order to recognize what causes fear and how to get rid of fear. They say that the only way you can get rid of the fear is by the death of the fear. So if you're afraid of something, learn and learn and learn more about what you're afraid of, and you'll realize that a lot of cases you were afraid for no reason, because you were missing those information, or that one piece of information that makes a huge difference. But let's not be kidding, let's not kid ourselves here. Fear is something that can paralyze you, and in a lot of cases it does. Fear is a feeling that is an honest feeling. It's a true feeling. And I don't want to discard that. But what I'm trying to say and what I want to bring to you is if you're afraid of something, learn about it. Best example, I'm afraid of a camera. I'm afraid of what you guys are going to say about me. But you know what? Let's do it anyways. I got some information on how to become a better speaker and how I can be better in certain things and what people want to listen to and all that stuff. And I'm not saying I'm perfect by any stretch. I don't have any intention of being perfect. I'm a human. But realizing that, I realized that my fear that were stopping me was a fear of being judged that I had years and years and years ago that I've worked on. So when I realized that, I realized, you know what? Why be afraid of being judged? I am not judged anymore. And why am I not judged? That's a different story. But quickly is because I don't judge anybody anymore. The people who will listen to this video and say he looks like crap or he's not good or whatever, they are entitled to their opinion. And this video is not for them, obviously. But if this video is for you, you will focus on the content that I'm sharing with you, the tools that I'm sharing with you, not the my hand is waving too much or a lot. No, you're not going to pay attention to that. I'm French. My English is not perfect. But hopefully you'll be able to understand my message. You see, I am surmounting or getting over my fear by saying, you know what, screw it, I'm going and doing it anyways. And like I said, I'm not doing any cuts in my videos. They are raw. This is who I am. This is how my message is going to come across. And the one thing that you can expect from me is to be honest. You will notice that sometimes my mind is all over the place, and sometimes I say different things, and sometimes my mind is paused because I'm trying to find the right thing to say. But this is the quality of the video you will get, is honest truth from me, my perception on the world and how I look at things, and hopefully it will resonate with some of you. That is my only goal. All comes down to love. The more love you have, the more love you can give. The tools that I gathered, I want to share with you. So that's my way of sharing my love, sharing my tools. But to come back with the fears, another good example is years ago when I first moved in Toronto, and that's a funny story that maybe a few will be able to relate to, but you got to pay attention to everything in order to make sense of this example. For most people, it's funny. I was raised, and by the way, I was raised with love, so I have nothing to say against my parents, don't take me wrong. I love my parents. But the one thing that I was raised in an environment was that when you need something fixed, you ask the people who are qualified to fix it. So, first moved to Toronto, and I had an old VCR. For the young generation, you may not remember what that is or know what that is, but it's basically the old DVD with a tape that you put in. And anyways, I had a VCR, and at some point it broke. It didn't want to play anymore. So I said, well, I guess we're going to throw it in the garbage, because it was too old to be repaired by a professional. So I'll always remember this, where I used to live with Frank and Jackie. Frank said to me, he said, hey Eric, said, bring it over, we'll see if we can fix it. And my first reaction was, are you crazy? What about if we break it? And Frank laughed and he said, but you're throwing it out in the garbage anyways. Who cares? We're going to learn from it, and worst case scenario, we'll fix it. And I started laughing too, because I went, you do have a point. It makes sense, right? So we opened it, cleaned it up, put it back together, and it played like normal, like brand new. But just to say, my first reaction was, no, afraid to break it. Afraid to break something that's already broken. Does make no sense whatsoever. But it's all about fear. And fear has been installed as from a young age. And like I said, I'm not blaming my parents. Parents can only give to their kids what they have. That is an expectation from parents. Parents are supposed to teach you at least what they know. Some parents will go and get more info to be able to share with you. And some parents won't care, unfortunately. But generally speaking, parents can only give you what they know, right? It's up to the kid, after they grow up, to get the rest of the tools. My parents gave me something that nobody else will ever be able to give me. They gave me the curiosity. I was born curious, they supported my curiosity, and they loved me. So to me, asking questions and learning, I need it. I feed on it. I'm curious in nature. That's why I wanted to know what make people think. What causes certain reaction? What are the emotions? I basically focused on the human being. Why, I don't know, but that's how it turns out. But the one thing, like I said, the one thing was my parent loved me enough to give me and to support my curiosity, among other things, but I'm talking about that. I was really lucky to have great parents. But there's no such thing as perfect parents. They can't give you everything. But if they give you the tools to be able to go as you grow up and educate yourself, and I'm not saying university and that stuff. Yes, it's great if you go, but that's not the education I'm talking about. The education I'm talking about is the day-to-day, the street information, the knowing that if you slap someone in the face, that's gonna hurt them. You don't have to go to university for that. I'm talking about the basic, okay? I'm talking about if you want to open a business and what scares you and what you're afraid of is not being able to make enough money. If you don't know about the money side, you need to educate yourself or go hire an accountant. You know what I mean? You don't need to go to university. But if you know you want to be an accountant, go to university to become an accountant. I'm not knocking down the university. I'm saying you don't need the university. I'm not talking education in the sense of university, college, or school. I'm talking about you as a human being. Go get the information you need. Ask your neighbor. Ask the person in front of you. Hey, how long have you been waiting in line? Oh, an hour. Oh, wow. And you didn't move much? Oh, wow. See, I got through a conversation with a stranger. I got information about my future. Now I can decide if I'm going to stay in line for an hour or not. You see what I'm talking about? That is the kind of information you need to go get, among other things. So what I'm saying is, instead of being afraid of being afraid, don't be afraid. Go get education. Ask questions. You have the right to ask questions. And yes, to some people, you'll be annoying. But if you gather information and you try to make sense out of that information that you're gathering, you can apply it around you. You can apply it to different scenario. If you understand why a certain decision is made, you can gather the information to make the next decision. If that worked. If it didn't work, you know that information has to change in order to make it work. It's not a failure. It's you're getting closer to your goal. You're getting closer of making a right decision. But a decision is a decision. And FYI, if you decide not to decide, in other words, if you decide not to make a decision, you have made a decision in itself. So be very careful what you decide. And when you say, I'm not going to decide anything, realize that you did decide. And for every decision, there's a consequences. And that's exactly why you're afraid of. You are afraid of the consequences that you don't know about, or that you may not know about, or you might be afraid of not knowing about the bad consequences. So fear not entitles, but blah, blah, blah. Fear in itself is complicated and holds a lot of different information or different reason why you are afraid. But the biggest reason is not knowing, being afraid of the consequences, which is not knowing the consequences. And there's a bunch of different reasons. But if you break them down, it all comes down to I did not know about it. So instead of being afraid, if you really want to be afraid of something, be afraid of not knowing about it. On that note, hope you enjoy. I'll talk to you later. Love you. Bye.